The ground beneath Lieutenant Maya Singh's feet shuddered with the kind of violent tremor that meant the planet was having opinions about their presence. She pressed herself against the crystalline canyon wall, watching her geological scanner display readings that made absolutely no sense, unless Kepler 438b was about to rearrange its continental structure just to spite their survey mission. "This is why I hate rock planets," she muttered into her comm unit, trying to maintain her balance as another seismic wave rolled through the canyon. "Give me a nice, stable gas giant any day. Sure, you can't breathe the atmosphere, but at least the ground stays where you put it." The response from Captain Williams crackled through with typical military efficiency. "Singh, status report. Are you saying our geological paradise is trying to kill us?" "I'm saying our geological paradise is having a very bad day and wants everyone to know about it," Maya replied, watching her seismic reading spike into the red zone. "I'm reading massive crystal displacement along the entire canyon system. We need to evacuate the survey teams now." That's when she heard the scream. It wasn't human, the harmonic frequencies were wrong, carrying overtones that seemed to resonate with the crystal formations around her. Maya's head snapped toward the sound, hermetic training overriding every safety protocol she'd ever learned about unstable planetary surfaces. 50 meters ahead, a section of the canyon wall had collapsed, revealing the intricate crystal formations that made this planet so scientifically valuable. But trapped beneath a fallen shard of what looked like living mineral was a young woman whose skin was literally glowing with distress. Maya had studied the briefings on the indigenous Kithra people, but seeing one in person was still breathtaking. The woman's skin displayed shifting patterns of bioluminescent color that pulsed with her emotional state, currently cycling through panicked purples and pain-bright oranges. Her features were elegantly humanoid, but the way her skin interfaced with the surrounding crystals suggested a symbiotic relationship with the planet itself. "Well, there's a sentence I never thought I'd think," Maya said, grabbing her emergency medical kit. "I'm about to perform alien first aid in an active earthquake zone." She scrambled across the unstable terrain, her magnetic boots finding purchase on the crystalline surface as another tremor sent smaller shards cascading around her. The trapped woman, Maya estimated her age as equivalent to a human in her early 20s, looked up with eyes that held intelligence and fear in equal measure. "Don't move," Maya said, hoping her universal translator was working properly. "I'm here to help." The woman's skin patterns shifted to confused blues and hopeful golds. "Star Walker," she said, her voice carrying musical tones that the translator rendered as honored visitor. "You should flee. The mountain song is angry." "Mountain song?" Maya began unpacking her medical scanner, noting that the woman's leg was pinned but didn't appear to be crushed. "Is that what you call seismic activity? Because your mountain is definitely singing soprano right now." "You make jokes while the earth trembles?" the woman asked, her skin patterns briefly flashing what Maya could only interpret as amused surprise. "Are all Starwalkers so fearless?" "Not fearless," Maya said, running her scanner over the trapped limb and wincing at the readings. "Just too stubborn to let perfectly nice aliens get squished by geological events." "I'm Maya, by the way. What's your name?" "Zephyra of the Crystal Song Tribe," the woman replied, her bioluminescent pattern stabilizing into warmer hues. "And I am not perfectly nice. My grandmother says I ask too many questions about the Starwalkers." Maya couldn't help but smile as she began calculating the best approach for freeing Zephyra's leg. "Your grandmother sounds wise. Questions are dangerous things, they tend to lead to answers, and answers have a habit of changing everything." Another massive tremor shook the canyon, and Maya realized they were running out of time. The crystal formation pinning Zephyra was part of a larger structure that was showing stress fractures. If it collapsed completely, they'd both be trapped. "Zephyra, I need you to trust me," Maya said, pulling out her emergency nanomedical kit. "I'm going to inject you with healing nanobots that will repair tissue damage faster than your body normally could. It might feel strange." "Strange how?" Zephyra asked, her skin patterns cycling through curious spirals. "Like tiny robots swimming through your bloodstream, because that's exactly what they are, Maya said, preparing the injection. Human medicine is very literal that way. The injection went smoothly, and Maya watched in fascination as Zephyr's skin patterns began incorporating new elements, tiny silver threads that seemed to follow the nanobots through her system. Whatever symbiotic relationship the Kithra had with their planet's minerals, it was adapting to human technology in real time. That is remarkable, Zephyr said, her pain signals shifting to wonder. I can feel them working. Your healing magic speaks to the crystal song in my bones. Not magic, just very advanced science, Maya said, then paused. Although honestly, the difference gets pretty blurry when you're injecting alien bloodstreams with self-replicating medical robots. With Zephyr's injuries stabilizing, Maya turned her attention to the massive crystal formation. Her engineering background suggested several approaches, none of them particularly safe. She could use her plasma cutter to weaken the crystal structure, but the thermal shock might destabilize the entire cliff face. She could try leveraging the formation with her portable graviton generator, but... Maya, Zephyr said quietly, her skin patterns now displaying complex geometric shapes that seemed to pulse in rhythm with the surrounding crystals. Place your hand on the formation. I can ask the mountain song to help us. Maya looked at the young woman whose life she was trying to save, noting the absolute confidence in her bioluminescent display. You can talk to rocks. Not talk. Listen. The crystals remember every vibration, every touch, every song ever sung in their presence. If you help me connect to the formation, I can ask it to release me. Maya placed her hand on the crystal surface, immediately feeling the vibrations running through the mineral structure like a vast, slow heartbeat. The moment her skin made contact, Zephyr's patterns blazed with brilliant light, and suddenly Maya could feel something vast and ancient responding to their combined presence. The crystal formation began to resonate, its internal structure shifting with harmonic frequencies that made Maya's bones vibrate. Slowly, impossibly, the massive shard began to lift itself, freeing Zephyr's leg with geological grace. Okay, Maya said, helping Zephyr to her feet as the mountain settled into calm stillness around them. That was definitely magic. That was partnership, Zephyr corrected, her skin patterns now blazing with colors Maya had never seen before, deep gold shot through with silver threads that seemed to match the nanobots still working in her system. You saved my life, Maya of the Starwalkers. Among my people, this creates bonds that span generations. Bonds? Maya asked, but before Zephyr could explain, the sound of approaching voices echoed through the canyon. A dozen Kithra emerged from hidden pathways, their skin patterns blazing with what looked like celebration and reverence. At their head walked an elderly woman whose skin had crystallized into permanent golden fractals, her eyes holding the weight of accumulated wisdom. She looked at Maya with an expression that suggested the simple act of saving one life had just complicated everything. So begins the great choosing, the elder said, her words carrying harmonics that made the surrounding crystals sing in response. The Starwalker has proven herself worthy. Maya looked between the gathering crowd and Zephyr, whose skin patterns were now displaying something that looked suspiciously like anticipation mixed with cosmic significance. Worthy of what, exactly? Maya asked, though she had the sinking feeling she wasn't going to like the answer. Maya's morning had started with routine geological surveys and comfortable scientific monotony. It was now approaching noon, and she found herself surrounded by 12 luminescent alien women whose skin patterns were creating a light show that would have made Las Vegas jealous. So let me get this straight, Maya said, addressing Elder Cosmos while trying not to stare at the growing collection of ornate crystals being placed at her feet. Because I saved Zephyr's life, I'm now considered marriage material for your entire tribe. Not the entire tribe, Elder Cosmos corrected with the patience of someone explaining basic mathematics to a particularly slow child. Only the unmarried daughters of appropriate age and social standing. We are not unreasonable people. Oh, well, that's much better then, Maya muttered, counting at least a dozen young women whose skin patterns were cycling through what her cultural briefings had mentioned were romantic interest displays. I was worried this might get complicated. The woman standing closest to her, tall and elegant with skin patterns that looked like flowing water, stepped forward with a crystal that seemed to contain actual starlight. "I am Stellar of the Deep Song lineage," she said, her voice carrying harmonics that made the surrounding mineral formations resonate. "I offer the crystal of mountain memory, which holds the songs of every earthquake that has shaped our world." "That's incredibly thoughtful," Maya said, accepting the crystal and noting that it was warm to the touch and definitely humming. "I don't suppose anyone wants to explain what I'm supposed to do with 13 marriage proposals and a collection of singing rocks." Captain Williams chose that moment to arrive with a full diplomatic escort, his expression suggesting he'd received Maya's emergency signal and come prepared for anything except what he was actually seeing. "Lieutenant Singh," he said carefully, taking in the ceremonial gathering with the practiced eye of someone who'd spent 20 years preventing interstellar incidents, "please tell me you haven't accidentally started an alien mating ritual." "I wish I could, Captain," Maya replied, gesturing at the growing pile of offering crystals. "But apparently saving someone's life makes you the most eligible bachelor in Kithra society, regardless of your actual gender or relationship preferences." Dr. Elena Park emerged from behind the captain, her anthropologist instincts clearly overriding her sense of diplomatic caution. "This is fascinating. The Kithra social structure appears to prioritize protective behavior over traditional gender roles. Maya, you've essentially been classified as an alpha provider type." "An alpha provider type," Maya repeated flatly. "Dr. Park, I perform medical procedures for a living. The most dangerous thing I usually fight is antibiotic-resistant bacteria." A new voice joined the conversation as another young woman stepped forward, her skin patterns displaying intricate mathematical equations that shifted and solved themselves in real time. "I am Lumina of the Logic Singers," she said, offering a crystal that appeared to be processing complex calculations. "I have studied your Starwalker healing methods and find them remarkably elegant. Your nanobots integrate with our biocrystalline systems in ways that suggest deep compatibility." Maya accepted the second crystal, noting that it immediately began harmonizing with the first one. "Are these things networking with each other?" "The crystals remember all interactions," Zephyra explained, her own skin patterns now displaying what Maya was learning to recognize as pride mixed with something more complex. "They are creating a symphony of your worthiness." "A symphony of my worthiness," Maya said, then looked at Captain Williams. "Sir, I'm going to need this to go in my official report, aren't I?" "Every ridiculous word of it," the captain confirmed. "Though I'm putting Dr. Park in charge of the cultural analysis section. I don't have enough coffee in my system to explain crystalline matchmaking to command." The introductions continued with increasing complexity. Prism of the Earth Whisperers could communicate directly with planetary geological systems. Aurora of the Skytouched could predict weather patterns by reading atmospheric crystalline formations. Each woman brought not just a marriage proposal, but a demonstration of skills that would benefit human Kithra cooperation. "This is actually quite strategic," Dr. Park observed quietly. "They're not just offering romantic partnerships, they're proposing scientific collaborations that would advance both our civilizations." Maya found herself genuinely impressed by the intelligence and accomplishments of each woman she met. These weren't desperate suitors. They were accomplished professionals who saw her rescue of Zephyra as evidence of character worth incorporating into their community. "The situation is more complex than simple marriage proposals," Elder Cosmos explained when Maya asked for clarification. "Among the Kithra, a life bond creates spiritual connection that enhances both partners' abilities. Your healing song combined with Zephyr's crystal touch created harmonies we have never seen. Imagine what such bonds might create with others." "So you're saying I could become some kind of super medic if I marry into your tribe?" Maya asked. "Or you could become the bridge between worlds that brings peace to our divided peoples," Stellar said, her skin patterns displaying star charts that seemed to map possible futures. "The choice walking begins tomorrow. You will spend time with each of us, learning our songs and sharing your own, until your heart finds its harmony." Maya looked around at the circle of hopeful faces, each woman representing not just personal attraction but an entire future for human Kithra relations. The weight of responsibility was staggering. What if I'm not ready to choose anyone? Maya asked. The silence that followed was filled with dimming skin patterns and the kind of cosmic disappointment that made her chest tight. Elder Cosmos spoke carefully, her golden fractals pulsing with concern. To refuse all bonds would suggest that the Kithra people are unworthy of Starwalker alliance, she said. Such rejection would end the friendship between our peoples and close the path to the crystal songs forever. Maya felt the diplomatic weight of her situation settling on her shoulders like a lead blanket. One moment of heroism had somehow made her responsible for interspecies relations across two worlds. No pressure, she muttered, then looked at Zephyra, whose skin patterns had dimmed to barely visible blues. The young woman who'd been glowing with joy was now displaying what looked unmistakably like resignation. Zephyra, Maya said quietly, "What's wrong?" "Nothing is wrong," Zephyra replied, but her patterns continued cycling through melancholy hues. "The choice walking is a great honor. You will find happiness with whichever singer calls to your heart." Maya watched Zephyra's carefully neutral expression and realized with sudden clarity that the person she'd saved, the one whose rescue had started this entire situation, wasn't even included in the list of potential partners. "Wait," Maya said, addressing Elder Cosmos. "Why isn't Zephyra part of the choosing ceremony?" "Zephyra is the life saved," Elder Cosmos explained gently. "She owes you debt that cannot be balanced by marriage bonds. To choose her would be to accept obligation rather than partnership." Maya looked at the young woman whose skin patterns had created such beautiful harmony with her healing nanobots, whose quick thinking had helped free them both from the crystal formation, and whose questions about Starwalkers suggested a mind eager to bridge cultural differences. "What if I don't see it as obligation?" Maya asked. The entire gathering went still, their skin patterns freezing mid-display as if Maya had just suggested something either revolutionary or catastrophic. That, Elder Cosmos said slowly, would change everything. Maya's introduction to Kithra courtship customs began at dawn with what could only be described as speed dating with geological accompaniment. Her first appointment was with Stellar, who had prepared an elaborate demonstration of crystal harmonics that turned the entire canyon into a living musical instrument. The Deep Song lineage has maintained the earthquake records for over 3,000 cycles, Stellar explained, her skin patterns creating complex waveforms that seemed to direct the crystalline formations around them. "Watch this." She placed her hands on a formation that looked like frozen lightning, and suddenly the canyon filled with a sound like mountains singing opera. The harmonics were so complex that Maya's bones resonated with sympathetic vibrations, creating a sensation that was part music, part massage, and part religious experience. "That's incredibly beautiful," Maya said, meaning it completely. "And probably the most unique first date activity in the galaxy." Stellar's patterns brightened with pleasure. "In partnership, we could teach your people to hear the planet songs of every world you visit. Imagine the knowledge that could be shared between species." Dr. Park, who was documenting every interaction with scientific enthusiasm, looked up from her recording equipment. "The applications for geological survey work would be revolutionary. Maya, you could literally communicate with planetary systems." "It's tempting," Maya admitted, watching Stellar coax melodies from formations that had probably been silent for millennia. "Though I have to ask, what happens if I'm tone deaf?" "The crystals would teach you to hear," Stellar said confidently. "Music is mathematics, and mathematics is universal." Maya's second appointment was with Lumina, whose approach to courtship involved solving complex theoretical problems while her skin displayed the calculations in real time. They sat beside a stream whose mineral content created natural holographic projections of mathematical concepts. "I have been studying your nanobotic healing systems," Lumina said, her patterns showing equations that made Maya's head spin. "The integration with our biocrystalline physiology suggests fascinating possibilities for enhanced cognitive function." "Enhanced how?" Maya asked, watching Lumina's skin solve what looked like quantum mechanics problems for entertainment. "The nanobots could interface with our neural crystals to create shared processing power," Lumina explained, her excitement causing her patterns to cycle through rapid color changes. Imagine having access to the computational capacity of an entire crystalline network. Maya tried to imagine having a planet-sized computer integrated into her brain and decided that was either the coolest or most terrifying thing she'd ever heard. Would I still be me, or would I become part of some kind of collective consciousness? You would be more than you, Lumina said simply. Individual awareness enhanced by shared knowledge. The Logic Singers have dreamed of such possibilities for generations. The third appointment was with Prism, who demonstrated her ability to communicate with geological consciousness by literally having a conversation with a mountain. Maya watched in fascination as Prism's skin patterns synchronized with mineral formations throughout the canyon, creating a feedback loop of environmental data that was like watching someone use the planet as a smartphone. The Earth songs speak of changes coming, Prism said, her patterns displaying topographical maps that shifted in real time. Great ships from the star roads, bringing people who wish to reshape the crystal songs for their own purposes. Maya felt a chill that had nothing to do with the mountain air. What kind of changes? Mining expeditions. Extraction protocols. Your people wish to take the singing crystals to other worlds, Prism replied, her patterns darkening with concern. But the crystals are not meant to be separated from the planet song. Without their home harmonics, they become silent stone. That would be bad, Maya said, realizing she was getting a preview of potential conflicts between human industrial interests and Kithra environmental philosophy. In partnership, we could teach your people to work with the crystal songs rather than against them, Prism offered. Harmony instead of extraction. Growth instead of depletion. Each appointment revealed not just personal compatibility, but the complex challenges facing both species. The Kithra had technologies that could revolutionize human understanding of planetary systems, while humans brought medical knowledge and engineering approaches that could solve problems the Kithra had struggled with for generations. What made the situation more complicated was that Maya genuinely liked and respected every woman she met. They were brilliant, accomplished, and offering partnerships that would benefit millions of people across multiple worlds. How am I supposed to choose between them? Maya asked Dr. Park during a brief break between appointments. They're all remarkable in different ways. That's kind of the point, Dr. Park replied, reviewing her cultural analysis notes. The Kithra aren't just looking for romantic compatibility, they're trying to determine which partnership would create the most beneficial alliance for their people. So this is essentially an arranged marriage disguised as speed dating, Maya said. More like a diplomatic negotiation disguised as courtship, Dr. Park corrected. Though the emotional elements appear to be genuine. These women aren't just going through the motions, they're actually interested in you as a person. Maya looked across the canyon to where Zephyra sat alone, her skin patterns dim and subdued as she watched the courtship proceedings from a distance. The young woman who had started this entire situation was now excluded from it, bound by cultural obligations that prevented her from participating in the very process her rescue had initiated. Dr. Park, Maya said slowly, what do you know about Kithra debt bonds? According to my research, they're considered sacred obligations that can span generations, Dr. Park replied. Why? Because I think I'm about to do something that's either going to solve this situation or make it infinitely worse, Maya said, walking toward where Zephyra sat in isolation. Zephyra, Maya called out, and the young woman's head snapped up, her patterns immediately brightening with surprise. Maya, Zephyra said, rising gracefully. Should you not be with the choice singers? The afternoon appointments. Can wait, Maya interrupted. I want to talk to you about something. About debt bonds and obligations and whether someone who saved my life just as much as I saved theirs could really be considered indebted to anyone. Zephyra's skin patterns went completely still. What do you mean? I mean that canyon rescue worked both ways, Maya said. You guided me to the crystal formation, taught me to listen to the mountain song, and helped me understand how to work with your planet systems instead of against them. Without your knowledge, we both would have been trapped. But you risked your life for mine, Zephyra protested. And you risked your connection to the planet song to help a stranger you just met, Maya countered. Sounds like mutual life-saving to me. For the first time since the courtship ceremonies began, Zephyra's skin patterns blazed with hope. Maya, she said quietly, are you suggesting that the debt bond might be balanced? I'm suggesting that maybe we should find out, Maya said, then raised her voice so the other courtship participants could hear. I have a question for Elder Cosmos about the nature of balanced obligations. Across the canyon, skin patterns began flashing with alarm, excitement, and what looked like the Kithra equivalent of, oh, this is going to be interesting. Maya's theological debate about balanced life debts was interrupted by the arrival of uninvited guests whose skin patterns immediately marked them as trouble. The Shadow Dweller delegation descended from the canyon's upper reaches with the kind of coordinated precision that suggested military organization, their darker crystalline formations creating an ominous contrast to the bright patterns of the Crystal Song tribe. Well, this day just keeps getting better, Maya muttered, watching Elder Cosmos's patterns shift to diplomatic alert while the courtship participants arranged themselves in protective formation around her. The Shadow Dweller leader was a woman whose skin had crystallized into sharp, angular patterns that looked like geometric armor. Her name, according to Maya's increasingly frantic universal translator, was Obsidian of the Deep Dark lineage, and her opening statement was about as diplomatic as a plasma cannon. Crystal Singers, Obsidian announced, her voice carrying harmonics that made the surrounding stones vibrate with tension, we claim right of challenge for the Starwalker's bond choosing. No single tribe may possess alliance with the Sky People while others are denied the crystal songs of healing. Elder Cosmos stepped forward, her golden fractals blazing with controlled anger. The Starwalker saved one of our daughters. The bond right belongs to our tribe by ancient law. Ancient law written when Starwalkers were legends, Obsidian countered. The healing singer has powers that could unite all Kithra tribes or see some raised above others. This choice affects more than romantic partnerships, it shapes the future of our entire world. Maya found herself in the middle of what was rapidly escalating into an interplanetary diplomatic crisis. Excuse me, she said, raising her voice to cut through the increasingly agitated harmonic exchanges between the two factions. Could someone explain what's happening in terms a confused human can understand? Dr. Park materialized beside her with the kind of academic excitement that meant someone was about to get a lecture. The Shadow Dwellers represent the northern tribes that have been excluded from early human contact. They're arguing that your bonding choice could create political imbalances that favor the Crystal Song territory. So this isn't just about marriage anymore, Maya said. It's about which tribe gets privileged access to human technology and knowledge. Exactly, Dr. Park confirmed. Your nanobots and healing techniques could revolutionize Kithra medicine, but only for whichever tribe you align with. From their perspective, you're not just choosing a wife, you're choosing winners and losers in their planetary power structure. Obsidian's attention focused on Maya with uncomfortable intensity. Starwalker, will you hear the Shadow Dweller proposal? Do I have a choice? Maya asked. You do, Obsidian said, her patterns shifting to something that might have been amusement. But choosing not to listen would be unwise. Maya looked around the canyon, noting that the cheerful courtship atmosphere had been replaced by the kind of tension that usually preceded either negotiations or violence. I'm listening. The Shadow Dwellers offer equal partnership, Obsidian continued. Not the bonds of one tribe, but alliance with all Kithra peoples. Share your healing songs with every settlement, every clan, every family that needs your Starwalker knowledge. That sounds reasonable, Maya said, then caught the warning flash in Elder Cosmos's patterns. I'm sensing there's a catch. No catch, Obsidian said, her crystalline armor gleaming with reflected light. Only tradition. To prove worthiness for such comprehensive alliance, you must demonstrate your strength against all challenges. Single combat, Starwalker. Face the champions of each tribe that wishes to claim bond right. Maya felt her stomach drop. Single combat. As in fighting. With potentially lethal consequences. The crystal songs do not permit death in challenge combat, Obsidian assured her. But they do require proof of warrior spirit. Only those strong enough to protect what they claim may be trusted with bonds that span worlds. I'm a medic, Maya said flatly. I heal people. I don't fight them. Then perhaps you are not worthy of the bonds you seek to claim, Obsidian replied, her patterns now displaying obvious challenge. Before Maya could respond, Zephyra stepped forward, her skin blazing with the kind of protective fury that made the surrounding crystals resonate like warning bells. The Starwalker will not face your challenges alone, Zephyra announced, her voice carrying harmonics Maya had never heard before. If combat is required, I claim right of champion bond. Her battles are mine to fight. The entire canyon went silent except for the harmonic resonance of crystals responding to emotional intensity. Elder Cosmos looked shocked, Obsidian looked intrigued, and Maya looked terrified. Champion bond? Maya whispered to Dr. Park, who was frantically consulting her cultural database. It's not in my files, Dr. Park admitted. This appears to be unprecedented. Elder Cosmos stepped forward, her patterns cycling through colors that suggested she was processing legal complexities in real time. Zephyra of the Crystal Song Tribe, champion bond is reserved for proven warriors. You are a crystal tender, not a fighter. I am whatever the Starwalker needs me to be, Zephyra replied, her patterns now displaying geometric designs that seem to interface directly with the surrounding mineral formations. And if she needs a champion, then the mountain song will make me one. Maya watched in fascination and growing alarm as Zephyra placed her hands on the largest crystal formation in the canyon. The young woman's skin patterns blazed with intensity, and suddenly the entire geological structure began responding to her touch. Crystals sang in harmonics that made Maya's bones vibrate, mineral formations shifted and realigned themselves, and the very air seemed to thicken with elemental power. Okay, Maya said, that's either incredibly romantic or completely terrifying. I'm leaning toward both. The crystal songs accept her claim, Obsidian observed, her own patterns displaying what looked like respect mixed with concern. But champion bond requires that both parties understand the stakes. Starwalker, if your chosen fights in your name and loses, you forfeit all rights to bond choosing. You would be required to leave our world and never return. And if she wins? Maya asked. Then you have proven worthy of bonds that span all tribes, Obsidian replied. Your healing songs would be shared with every Kithra settlement, and your chosen would be honored as champion of two worlds. Maya looked at Zephyra, whose skin patterns were now displaying complex crystalline formations that seemed to map battle strategies in real time. The quiet, thoughtful woman who asked questions about Starwalkers had transformed into something that looked like a geological force of nature. Zephyra, Maya said carefully, are you sure about this? Because I'm pretty sure I never asked anyone to risk their life for my relationship status. You risked your life for mine, Zephyra replied simply. Now I risk mine for our future. This is what balanced debt means among my people. But what if you lose? Maya asked. Zephyra's patterns shifted to something that looked suspiciously like a smile. Then you will know I was not worthy of the bonds I sought to claim. But Maya, I do not intend to lose. The challenge was set for sunset, giving both sides time to prepare and Maya time to have what she privately termed a complete existential crisis about alien courtship customs. She spent the afternoon learning that Kithra combat involved harmonizing with crystalline formations to create what could only be described as geological weapons, turning the planet itself into an extension of the fighter's will. This is insane, Maya told Captain Williams during an emergency consultation. I came here to do medical research, and now I'm apparently the prize in some kind of crystal-powered gladiator match. The diplomatic implications are staggering, Captain Williams replied, his military training clearly struggling with the situation. If this goes wrong, we could lose our alliance with the entire Kithra civilization. And if it goes right, Dr. Park added excitedly, we could establish the first truly comprehensive human-alien partnership in colonial history. Maya, you're not just choosing a spouse, you're creating a template for interspecies cooperation. As sunset approached, Maya found herself standing in the center of a natural amphitheater formed by crystalline formations that had been shaped by generations of Kithra ceremonies. Representatives from multiple tribes had gathered, their skin patterns creating a light show that turned the canyon into a living constellation. Zephyra appeared, her body now adorned with crystalline formations that seemed to grow from her skin rather than being worn as jewelry. She moved with fluid grace that suggested complete integration with the planetary systems around her. "Ready?" Maya asked. "Ready," Zephyr replied, her patterns blazing with determination and something that looked unmistakably like love. The first challenger stepped forward, a shadow dweller warrior whose crystalline armor could apparently interface with underground mineral veins to create seismic attacks. Maya watched in awe as Zephyr countered by harmonizing with the canyon walls themselves, turning the entire geological structure into a resonance chamber that neutralized the seismic weapons. She's not just fighting, Maya realized, watching Zephyr's patterns synchronize with formations throughout the canyon. She's conducting a geological orchestra. By the time the third challenger fell to Zephyr's innovative combination of crystal harmonics and environmental integration, Maya understood that she wasn't just watching combat, she was witnessing the birth of a new form of Kithra artistry that combined traditional skills with approaches inspired by her own healing nanobots. "Your champion fights with honor," Obsidian acknowledged as the final challenger yielded. "The Shadow Dwellers accept the bond right of the Crystal Song tribe." Elder Cosmos stepped forward, her golden fractals blazing with pride and something that looked like relief. "Then let the great choosing be complete. Zephyra of the Crystal Song has proven herself worthy champion, and Maya of the Starwalkers has demonstrated wisdom in her choice of bonds." Maya looked at Zephyra, whose skin patterns were now cycling through exhausted but triumphant colors, and realized that somewhere between the rescue and the combat and the diplomatic negotiations, she had fallen for this remarkable woman who fought like a force of nature and asked questions like a philosopher. "So," Maya said, "I guess this means we're officially engaged." "This means," Zephyr replied, her patterns shifting to warm golds that made the surrounding crystals sing in harmony, "we are bound by choices made freely and proven through trials. In any language, I believe you would call that love." 6 months later, Maya stood in the center of the Harmony Medical Complex, watching her latest batch of Kithra medical students practice nanobotic integration techniques with the focused intensity of people learning to reshape the future. The facility itself was a marvel of human engineering and Kithra bioarchitecture, crystalline formations that grew medical equipment directly from mineral matrices, healing chambers that harmonized with patients' biological rhythms, and research labs where the boundary between technology and nature had become beautifully irrelevant. "The neural interface protocols are stabilizing nicely," Maya told Lumina, who had become her chief research partner in developing hybrid medical technologies. "Your logic singer training gives you better instinctive understanding of nanobotic programming than most human technicians." Lumina's skin patterns displayed satisfaction mixed with the complex equations she was processing in real time. "The integration feels natural. Your healing bots speak the same mathematical language as our Crystal Song networks." Through the complex's central garden, Maya could see representatives from all 12 Kithra tribes working alongside human researchers in what had become the most comprehensive interspecies cooperation project in colonial history. The Shadow Dwellers had proven remarkably talented at developing defensive medical applications, while the Skytouch tribe had revolutionized atmospheric healing protocols. Dr. Singh, called Aurora, the former courtship candidate who now headed the Weather Medicine Division, the atmospheric processors are showing remarkable results. "We've successfully neutralized the toxic crystal formations in the Southern Territories." Maya smiled, remembering how overwhelming it had felt to be courted by a dozen brilliant women who each represented a different aspect of Kithra civilization. Now they were all working together, their individual talents contributing to projects that benefited everyone. "Any word from the orbital station?" Maya asked. "Captain Williams reports that the joint human-Kithra research vessel is ahead of schedule," Aurora replied, her patterns brightening with excitement. "The Crystal Song navigation systems are allowing them to map previously unexplored sectors with unprecedented accuracy." The marriage arrangement Maya had feared would limit her choices had instead opened possibilities she'd never imagined. By establishing the alliance bond model, she and Zephyra had created a framework for interspecies partnerships that honored both cultures while advancing shared goals. Maya, Zephyra's voice carried the harmonic undertones that still made Maya's heart skip, even after months of marriage. She turned to see her wife approaching with a datapad that displayed mineral analysis results. The latest scans from the deep crystal formations show something remarkable. Good remarkable, or, we need to evacuate the planet remarkable? Maya asked, accepting the datapad and noting readings that defied several laws of physics. Wonderful remarkable, Zephyra said, her skin patterns cycling through excited spirals. The integration of your nanobotic healing techniques with our crystal networks has created something unprecedented. The planet's biocrystalline consciousness is learning to heal itself. Maya stared at the data, realizing she was looking at evidence of planetary-scale regenerative medicine. The crystal formations are repairing environmental damage. More than that, Zephyra said, her patterns now blazing with the kind of scientific enthusiasm that had first caught Maya's attention. They're developing new harmonic frequencies that can neutralize industrial toxins, restore atmospheric balance, and even repair genetic damage in native species. So our marriage didn't just create diplomatic alliance, Maya said slowly. It accidentally triggered planetary evolution. Not accidentally, Elder Cosmos said, appearing beside them with the silent grace all Kithra seemed to possess. The choice walking revealed compatibility between your species that goes deeper than simple cooperation. You have created harmony between worlds that resonates at quantum levels. Maya looked around the medical complex, where humans and Kithra worked side by side on projects that would have been impossible for either species alone. Stellar was teaching human geologists to read planetary consciousness. Prism was developing terraforming protocols that worked with natural systems instead of against them. And Zephyra was pioneering medical techniques that treated entire ecosystems as patients. I have to ask, Maya said to Elder Cosmos, was any of this actually planned? Because I'm starting to suspect that rescuing Zephyra was less accident and more cosmic setup. Elder Cosmos's patterns shifted to what Maya had learned meant gentle amusement. The crystal songs do not plan, Maya of the Starwalkers. They simply create opportunities for harmony. Whether those opportunities become reality depends on the choices made by those who hear the music. And what kind of music are the crystal songs playing now? Maya asked. The kind that suggests your story is just beginning, Elder Cosmos replied. The alliance bond model is spreading to other worlds. 3 more human colonies have requested Kithra partnership protocols. And the deep crystal formations are reporting harmonic resonances from planets you have not yet visited. Maya felt the familiar mix of excitement and terror that had become her constant companion since joining her life to Zephyra's. Are you saying there are other species out there who might want to join this alliance? I am saying, Elder Cosmos said, her ancient patterns twinkling with cosmic mischief, that the universe is much larger than 2 worlds, and harmony has a way of calling to those who are ready to listen. That evening, Maya and Zephyra sat in their favorite spot overlooking the canyon where their relationship had begun, watching the twin moons rise over crystal formations that now sang lullabies for healing patients throughout the complex. Any regrets? Zephyra asked, her skin patterns displaying the deep contentment that came at the end of a day spent building something meaningful. Maya considered the question seriously. A year ago, she'd been a dedicated researcher focused entirely on her work. Now she was part of an interspecies marriage that had become a template for galactic cooperation, helping to develop technologies that could heal entire planets, and apparently serving as an ambassador for harmony between civilizations she hadn't even met yet. Just one, Maya said finally. Zephyra's patterns shifted to concerned curiosity. What is that? I regret that it took a seismic event to make me realize that the best partnerships happen when you stop trying to control the outcome and start working with the forces around you, Maya said. Turns out the universe has better plans than anything I could have imagined. Zephyra's skin blazed with the warm golden light that meant perfect happiness. In that case, she said, I am grateful for earthquakes. Above them, the crystal formations sang their ancient harmonies, and somewhere in the music, Maya could hear the promise of new worlds waiting to discover that love, like geology, was all about finding the right resonance frequency. In the distance, Captain Williams was probably filing reports about unprecedented interspecies cooperation protocols and revolutionary applications of hybrid biotechnology. Dar. Park was undoubtedly documenting the sociological implications of alliance bonding for future colonial development. But Maya preferred Zephyra's simpler explanation. Sometimes the best way to save the galaxy was to start by saving one person, and let the ripples create their own harmony across the stars.